Dillon Gabriel led the #1 regular season team in the country this season, and this is why you need him to lead your NFL team in 2025.
I think it's just all about the right fit. I've been an unknown, so it's something that's not new to me.
How's it going today? My name is Jesse McNamara, and welcome to Point of View. Before we get into it today, I just want to say we always appreciate your feedback. I look forward to reading your comments like the one we've got here. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the end of this episode to see if you can guess today's trivia question down below. To today's topic, is Dillon Gabriel an NFL starter? On the surface, the easy answer is no way. There's only 32 of them in the world, and Gabriel hasn't appeared to be one of them. But I fall on the other end of this argument, and I think he definitely has the potential to be a legit player in the league. First off, he's not going to be a first rounder or anywhere near it, but there's many examples of late round QBs turning into starters, with one of the most recent being Brock Purdy. Sure, he's taken his fair share of flack this year, but he's also 1 year removed from a Super Bowl appearance. In Gabriel's case, I think he's shown enough over his long college career to believe he has the tools to turn into a franchise guy in a couple of years. He came out firing as UCF starter in 2019 and had back-to-back seasons with at least 3,500 passing yards and 29 touchdowns. He then made the jump to Oklahoma, where he saw his completion percentage steadily rise despite the improvement in competition. And of course, this past season, he led the Ducks to an undefeated regular season and finished third in the Heisman Trophy race. So how has Gabriel been able to improve his game this much the past few years, especially with his accuracy? Here's Oregon head coach Dan Lanning answering that question just over a month ago.
Repetition, he holds himself to a high standard, but you see him constantly in practice throw a ball and then go through the routine of throwing the ball again on air, right, in his mind. But I think consistent, preparation, leads to some separation for him when it comes to where he's throwing the ball and the success he has.
If you're going to be an NFL quarterback, everything Lanning mentioned there is a must. There's really no room for error in the pros, and Gabriel demonstrated the ability to take care of the rock year in and year out through preparation and repetition. And I think those skills will be huge towards his chances at creating an NFL career. Not only will it help him elevate his positive traits, but it will mitigate some of his limitations, such as his size and lack of premier arm strength. And really, the perfect NFL comparison for Gabriel is the guy I mentioned earlier, Brock Purdy. Purdy is listed at 6'1", 220 pounds, and Gabriel is just a touch smaller, but there's plenty of QBs who have overcome their size like Purdy and Russell Wilson. Then you look at Purdy's accuracy. He finished his career at Iowa State with a 67.7 completion percentage, with his final season over 70%. Gabriel was just a touch behind with a 65.2 completion percentage in college, but his final season was his best at nearly 73%. Now, many would say Gabriel's high percentage is a result of short passes, but that's not entirely true. His average yards per attempt was 8.9, while Purdy finished at 8.3. I'm not saying either is some elite downfield thrower, but it hasn't hindered them as much as some seem to think. And finally, what really took Purdy over the edge was his ability to perform under pressure. In 6 playoff games, he's posted a 4-2 record with 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. Those numbers don't pop off the stat sheet, but it allowed the playmakers to do their thing and keep the defense off the field. In Gabriel's case, I'm sure many of you watching don't see the same level of ability under pressure as evidenced by the playoff game against Ohio State, but there were plenty of other games he showed us his clutch gene, such as the first Ohio State matchup when the Ducks entered the fourth quarter down 6. And Dan Lanning backed up my claims in that same presser from earlier. Here's what he had to say about Gabriel's abilities under pressure.
Yeah, I think ultimately the stage is never too big for Dillon, right? He's shown up big in pressure moments for us. I think he holds himself again to a higher standard than a lot of other people do. And, he has high expectation for himself, but when you can stay that composed in pressure situations, and have success like he's had, it kind of illustrates it for itself, right? He's just been really good in those moments.
I think all of that applies to what we've seen from Purdy these last few years, and it bodes well for Gabriel's future. Now, obviously, not every late-round QB turns into Brock Purdy, but there's definitely a chance Gabriel can do a lot of the same things if he's drafted to the right team. So if you end up with Gabriel on your team come April, don't be a hater. Get excited that you could have a diamond in the rough. Who knows? Maybe he will lead your team to the Super Bowl as soon as next year. And maybe that team ends up being the Los Angeles Rams. They've got a lot of talent, but it might be time for a change at multiple spots, including at quarterback. For more on that, check out this past episode of Point of View. And the moment you've been waiting for, here's the answer to today's trivia question. We appreciate you tuning in. We will see you in the next one.